Zack Drost, you have been a medical horticulture. You've been growing weed for basically 20 years. You've explored a lot from seeds to growing to you've got a lot of experience.
Yes, I do.
And my experience with just growing medicine in general has been very limited. Like I grew cannabis 2 years ago for the first time and tried it. Actually, even in my tea today, I have a little bit that I
Yeah, there,
decarbed
there
and
you go.
then
There you go. Yep.
made myself. So it's something that a lot of people have been looking into, but there's still quite a stigma against it.
Yeah, there is. Um, Unfortunately, I don't know if that stigma is ever going to go away. Um, we seem to live in this weird conservative kind of, especially around here. We live in a very conservative community that still holds to their alcohol and the Bible. So, um, I don't know if that stigma will ever kind of disappear around here. I mean, personally, I've never really cared about the stigma. I've been growing since I was 10 years old. So, I mean, I was always kind of the guy that just kind of walked up the street and smoked a joint, didn't really care. And I've been known as that guy for as long as I can remember. But I I think everybody should start at least trying to understand cannabis. Maybe not see it as a recreational thing that most people do, but like just see it as a plant. It's an ornamental plant. I mean, working with Gilded Genetics, we even have some strains on our repertoire that are ornamental strains more than they are like an actual
Medicinal.
medicinal strain because they're so purple and like just beautiful. You would never think that when you see cannabis, right? You think, oh, kind of weed and skunky and whatever, right? But no, like some of these plants are absolutely beautiful, and I've fallen in love with just the actual aspect of growing the plant. Like my brother will look at you and tell me, you don't even like smoking it, man. You just kind of like looking at it and grow. Yeah, I love it. I love absolutely everything about it.
It's been, I think the stigma has really come from the government vilifying it as a drug.
Yeah.
And that's come from like there's a lot of other things. I mean, opiates, yes, the same thing, but they're used medicinally, and that's usually how people like will get hooked on opiates is you use it medicinally for pain, and
Yeah, and
then
then it
you,
turns into something
yeah, it
else.
turns into an addiction. So, um, I've got a question here. I got a Patreon, and I have a question from Erica, who is curious about teenagers smoking. At what age is it considered safe?
Okay.
And there are laws, but should children or teens wait longer based on their development? Does it affect the developing brain? Is it safer now versus when it was in the past when it wasn't regulated? So if you buy it from Cannabis MB or from,
I, they want it to be safer. I don't necessarily think it is. Um, I believe that cannabis should be open. My my children know what it is. My children know to stay away from it. My children are allowed to ask questions and see the plants and this and that, but they're not like they know that when daddy's out having a smoke to stay away, when like I'm very open with it with my children and children that have been in my life, but no, I don't think unless it's absolutely necessary. I have friends who like who have kids who are dealing with certain mental issues or development issues, and cannabis, CBD, things like that have really, really helped them. So, I mean, in that aspect, that's great. Again, that's a weird stigma because I'm all for cannabis. I'm absolutely for it. I think CBD and kids with ADHD is a fantastic thing. But when it comes to the actual use of cannabis, actually, yeah, I 100% agree with it. I don't believe that teenagers should be right into it because, again, they're using it for a recreational thing. They're not using it medicinally. Most of them, anyways. I mean, now, with somebody like me, maybe I could help educate them a little bit more towards what they're actually looking for rather than just smoking weed. But I I think like I do a couple different courses as well, like a mental health and cannabis course and different things. And it does affect the memory. If you continue to smoke just to smoke, I mean, there is a potential that you can go through a psychosis and different things like that. So it does affect your developmental skills. And I mean, like, again, I've been doing so since I was 10 years old. So who knows? I could have been a genius, right? But no, I'm pretty sure, like, the stigmas the stigma's there, and it's not gonna kill you to try it, and it's not gonna be very harmful for kids to go out and try something. That's what being a kid is. But I think that we should open ourselves to educating more about it, to allow them to, like, maybe if you open yourself to that, the teenagers are going to be less drawn towards going that realm and kind of waiting and learning. I know a lot of my friends didn't even start smoking until their early 20s. So, like, I'm an odd case. Not everybody's like me, where I was very young and I started at a young age and I started growing at a young age. It's just what I just became overwhelmed with it. I loved it. I fell in love with the leaf. As soon as I saw it, I fell in love with it.
There's so many people now, especially in New Brunswick, I find, because we have very little access to, like, so many people don't have a family doctor.
Yes.
And a lot of people, especially since COVID, have been really put off of the medicinal system, just the medical system in general. So a
I'm
lot of
totally
people are
with you.
looking for holistic things. And there are kids, like, I even know teenagers who will get prescribed SSRIs. So you're getting antidepressants,
Yeah.
anti-anxieties, which are dangerous in their own right. So to explore something like cannabis or
Yes.
smoking.
And it doesn't even have to be in the smoking realm either. Like I don't know if you've ever explored even topical cannabis, but, like, I'm a huge fan of the bath bombs. Like, the bath bombs to me are like the next level thing. That's my favorite medicinal way to take cannabis, because, like, it totally, it just overtakes me. I've fallen asleep for hours in the bathtub, honestly, because and that was without even having a smoke or an edible or anything added to it. That was just me enjoying. Like, cannabis as a medicine is such a beautiful thing, but
Talk a little bit more about, because I think people know it as something you smoke and you get high, right?
yes.
The THC is the biggest thing that people know, THC or CBD, and I think smoking or edibles are the biggest thing that people see
Yep.
as they're recreational, they're not medicinal. But what other, I mentioned my tea that I've got, what other ways are people consuming or utilizing, like the bath
I
bombs?
mean, I mean, topically, there's salves and creams and different things, and I mean, I have to explain this in my job while I work at the shop, to some elders that come in. They're looking for, like, a CBD cream, and they see that it has THC in it as well, and they're like, "Oh no, like, I can't do that. I don't want to get high." I'm like, that's not how necessary. That's not really necessarily how it works. To get the psychoactive portion of it, you have to ingest it or smoke it. Like, so it has to be inhaled or ingested for it to actually feel that way, to get the psychoactive effects. But if you want the medical effects, the actual effects, to take the pain away, and to make that sense of relief and relaxation. I mean, I use RSO creams and things like that on sores that will go away in days.
For those that don't know, what is RSO?
RSO is a full spectrum cannabis extract, made with usually ISO, and it's like an oil, a very, very tar like
Rick
substance.
Simpson
Yeah,
oil.
Rick Simpson oil. And so Rick Simpson oil was created by Rick Simpson for cancer. It was to help, clear your body of cancer. And for the most part, it does, if you take the actual dose that you're supposed to, it continuous. I mean, otherwise, it's a preventative measure for me. But, like, RSO, being that full spectrum cannabis, really, really will heal almost anything. Like, I put raw RSO on a cut, like, that was a little too deep. And within probably 2 weeks, like, almost nothing there anymore. Like, and that was just with raw RSO.
Wow.
And I mean, not a lot of people want to put some sticky black substance on them. So, like, RSO creams or different creams like that. But there's a million ways that people are doing cannabis now. Like I'm seeing, like, the vape fad is a huge thing that I'm really kind of phased out of now. I'm not really a fan of that. I I've been seeing can't remember the company's name, but it was almost like aromatherapy with cannabis, which was kind of cool. Because I in school when I was taking therapeutic horticulture, I studied color therapy, scent therapy, all these other things, and kind of brought it all back to cannabis, and then, like, I can teach about that now. It's so cool. I learned about all the terpenes, and like that's pretty much where the effect comes from. Like the THC is there and it's always going to be giving you like a little bit of an effect, but your actual effect comes from the experience. So like your terpenes, the taste, the smells, that's where your actual experience come from. You can smoke a dead plant with 30% and really not do anything to you.
What are the different parts? Because, like I said, people know the THC, know the CBD, and there's so many other pieces
Oh my
to a
god.
cannabis plant or medicinals within that. What are the pieces?
I should have brought my big sign that I made. I mean, cannabis is such a full round use plant. Like, I mean, you can use it from the roots all the way right up to the very tip. There's a million different uses to it, but I mean, THC is going to be your psychoactive. CBD is going to be your calm and like counterbalance. But then there's CBN, CBG, THCV, THCP. Like there's so many different cannabinoids that even I don't even can't fathom half of them right now. Just and one of the courses that I've been kind of teaching is cannabis therapeutics, but beyond THC. So kind of teaching about more than just THC because again, the stigma around THC is quite large, and I enjoy seeing an elder or something learn more about cannabis rather than just I'm gonna get high. So I mean, CBG and CBN are the ones that I've kind of done the most research on. Like when COVID was around, I was reading a lot on the effects of CBD, CBG, CBN, THC all against COVID, and we had these capsules with CBG, CBN, CBD, and THC, and I was taking them every day, and it like I went months without even feeling sickness. And I mean, I don't know if it's a really if it was like an actual thing, but like I learned that CBD, CBG, CBN, they were actually fighting against the COVID flu or whatever it was that was in the virus. So I think that was really cool. I mean, I'm still kind of learning about all the cannabinoids. Like I said, there's 100 that I don't even know about yet. But
How do the cannabinoids interact with your body or with like COVID in being able to do that?
I like cannabis is not a heal all, but it does that portion. Like we have cannabis receptors in our stomach and our brain, cannabinoid receptors, sorry. So those receptors are turned to kind of fight against all of this. It wants you when you're most relaxed. It wants you at your best. And honestly, I take cannabis in every form possible more as a preventative measure. Like dry cannabis, decarb cannabis, oils, tinctures, whatever. I try to bring it all into my system. We have these receptors in us for a reason. I mean, why not use them?
That blew my mind the first time I learned about our endocannabinoid system. That
Right?
I had
Like
no idea.
we have that naturally built into our system. For what? For what? Obviously for cannabis and anything that has those cannabinoids that we need. It was there for a reason. And I mean, I've also done a lot of research on other things like I don't know if you've ever heard of CHS. It's called cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. So in an everyday smoker, not a new smoker, but an everyday smoker, it can show up and you can get profusely sick, and just because all the cannabinoid receptors that normally go to your brain, like all it goes straight to your stomach, makes you instantly sick. Can't stand, like I have a friend that can't even touch hemp anymore. Like it's that bad. But they were in the hospital for months. They lost a lot of weight. I did my first interview for a magazine was actually with my friend, and like I was blown away because we used to smoke weed every day, all day together. But she had to quit completely and like lost a bunch of weight and was like, it was called CHS and it was just coming around. So the doctors really didn't know a lot about it yet and they couldn't give her a lot of information. But it was really, really interesting. So I started looking into this and realizing that so there is some actual downfalls to cannabis and using cannabis every single day, especially like if you're a smoker. This is only someone that comes from smoking, I guess. That's what I've learned so far. This is like a brand like a new smoker started like yesterday isn't really gonna be ever gonna feel that way unless they like green out or something. But someone like me could wake up tomorrow and take one hit and that's the end. And I don't know if that'll ever go away. I don't know if it's something that stays with you forever, but it's something that I've also been cautious about as well. So I've lowered my use a little bit just because I enjoy using cannabis. I don't enjoy being stoned all day, but I enjoy using cannabis. So um, when I get to see those different things, it helps me in my life anyway understand.
And everything in moderation too. I think
Yeah.
that when people find something, and I remember when it was first legalized or right before it was legalized, a lot of the conversation was like, oh, it cures depression, it cures cancer, it cures everything. And so I think that direction of it is really dangerous when it's just like, oh, yeah, you need to take a
It
ton of
is.
cannabis for everything.
It is, and this is the one thing I will say over and over again. Cannabis is not a heal-all. It wants to be, it really does, and everything up here wants it to be as well, but it's not. Um, and that's when it becomes a crutch. When you start to feel that cannabis is the only thing that's ever going to help you, that's when it's 100% not helping you anymore.
I think we've seen that throughout history too. I think back in like the 50s, 40 and 50s with cocaine,
Yep.
like the same thing that was in everything. Like the original formula for Coke was cocaine, and it was just so
Yeah,
everywhere.
it was just a normal faz thing.
It became, well, in the way that it works with your body, it makes you hyper and excited for neurotypical people, and so for that, then I saw the exact same thing based on what I knew about cocaine happen to cannabis. And
Yeah.
when it first got legalized in Canada or throughout the United States, really saw that everybody wanted to use it and smoke it. And even now, like, I don't smoke. We talked about that. I don't smoke weed.
Yep.
I consume it through teas or salves
Yep.
or different things. And I've even considered, like you mentioned, the bath bombs or different creams and stuff because I do know there are benefits to it.
There's so many benefits to it, and like I said, even just taking like a capsule or a tincture as well, not even with a lot of THC, it doesn't have to have any at all, but I find that if there's a little bit of a balance or like a THC CBD content in, like, that's a preventative measure. You're not getting high, you're not using it as a recreation, you're using it as, I want the medicine, I want the medicine in my body. I don't care about the effect, I want the medicine in my body. And that's what I think it should be like becoming a norm. Like, to me, that's no different than eating hemp seeds. Like, you're still getting benefit from that. You're still getting the amino acids. Like, most of our necessary fatty acids are in that one seed right there.
Yeah, hemp hearts are a superfood.
Superfood, man. And like, just that in general is adding cannabis into your regime. You don't have to smoke it.
Talk about that for a second. What's the difference between hemp and cannabis?
So the difference is the THC content. That's pretty much it. Hemp is made for textile or seed production, oil production, things like that. It's never really been a crop for its actual flower. For the most part, they use the stalks and whatever. Now, cannabis was kind of, I don't know if it was like bred away from that or if it just had more THC content. It actually gave you a psychoactive effect. And I mean, way back when in the 1600s, it was a mandatory crop that every farm had to have was hemp. It was made, the king made every single person who was growing at all had to grow hemp. It was mandatory. And they went and distributed seeds to every farm, and they came in through the Nova Scotia port back then. And I learned so much history about this, but it was a French botanist that did, and he brought the seed, and like I said, the king made everybody, because it was a mandatory crop. It was so important, because it was stronger than anything that they were using. It was a fast crop, so like, and it was a regenerative crop. Like, you regenerate your soil every time you rotation that. Like, I've done studies, I've done projects, I've written a 30-page essay on how hemp can save the world. Honestly, like, it's such an amazing plant, but cannabis is more the plant that focuses on the psychoactive effects. And I mean, like, there nowadays with breeding, there's so many different realms. I think everything is a hybrid or a polyhybrid. There's no strict indica, no strict sativa or anything like that anymore. But with Gilded Genetics, we've actually taken one of our strains is called CBD Con Louis, and we've taken that and bred that into a hemp strain 4 years now. So it's a 4-year hemp cross. So we're actually trying to bring in true CBD. And yeah, it's a massive, huge plant, and it's beautiful. And like, that's what's actually in this that I rolled up for you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed by joints or blunts. They're so beautiful.
That right there is actually a gelato terped CBD Con Louis with
What does that mean?
so the CBD Con Louis flower has extra added terpenes from the strain gelato, and then that tobacco wrap is a hand cut tobacco wrap that we did ourselves that is also terped with gelato terps. It adds a flavor profile a little bit. It adds almost like wine. I find it treats the tobacco wraps like wine. But I find it very smooth. It's super, super nice. And this strain doesn't, it's such a low THC content that I find that I don't really get a super high effect, but I feel so relaxed and calm smoking it. And it's just such a nice smoke. And I've been rolling blunts a lot lately. Like I was telling you the other day, I filled a humidor. Like, it looked like I was coming out of a cigar shop. But this is a lot, and this is what I've been focusing a lot of my energy towards lately is trying these different blunts and smokes and creating a different experience. This is more of a luxury experience rather than just a recreational smoke.
It's weird how smoking over the last like 30 years has been so vilified. Like there was kind of the attack on the hippies in the
Right.
70s that like weed is bad and just for dirty hippies. But then over the last 20 years, and I think it's with regards to lung cancer and stuff, but historically, smoking has been such a big part of culture. I mean, you've got hookahs, you've got cannabis, you've got tobacco in Native American culture. And so it's weird that we've really tried to vilify it and get rid of it. Like it's a dirty thing, it's a bad thing.
The funniest thing to me is that we get rid of the natural part of it. Like, if it's not created by our government or whatever, then we're not allowed to do it. It's vilified. It's 100% not right. You shouldn't smoke it. Why? Like, that to me, if I'm growing it myself, that means I know exactly what's going to be in it, and I know exactly if I'm going to like it or not. Like, and I'm not going to feel bad if I smoke something of my own and say, I don't like this at all.
That's exactly what we would do with food, is the exact same thing.
Yeah, like we try, and again, certain crops are either super hard and you have to have licenses for. Hemp. Actually, hemp is one of the hardest crops to get a fucking license for.
Really?
It's insane. I have no idea why, but like I was going through just to kind of do some research on finding licensing. And like after I was going through my ACMPR and medical, I was like, well, let's see what it looks like to go into the hemp industry. So I went through and I applied for it. Like, I had a stack of paperwork this thick of just things that I had to do. Like, I had to have a full plan for the actual whole crop before I was allowed
Even
to.
attempted to grow.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I heard from a few farmers around that have grown hemp, is that after the crop was done, they didn't have any place to do any, like, unless they're producing themselves, and most places aren't going to be textile, aren't going to be doing anything for seed, and don't have any of the facility to do so. So unless they have a partnership or somebody that has already purchased that crop, what are they going to do with it? It's just a crop. At this point, I say it's a remediation crop, because again, cannabis it's got this taproot system that will reach down and find water no matter what. It's absolutely insane. You don't need to till because it will remediate your soil for you. So at that point, that's pretty much all that they were doing. And I noticed,
It's interesting that we don't have the industry anymore, even just in North America, with regards to that textile
yeah,
industry. Like a lot of that has been shipped overseas to do it cheaper.
it's so funny because a lot of it came from here first. A lot of the hemp stuff was coming from Canada first. All the textiles, all the whatever, it was coming from Canada first, because this is where they landed first. They landed in Nova Scotia, Acadia, I guess, and they brought it through. It literally hit Canada first.
Now, I had heard a little while ago, probably a couple of years ago, that cannabis, hemp, those types of plants, they grow rather natively, and then it had been eradicated by the government because it was vilified back.
So, can North American wise, I don't know if we technically have any landrace style cannabis strains, but worldwide, there's cannabis that grows natural all over. It was never a man made thing. The government kind of only took hold of it when they realized that it could be used for something else. Like, there was a small portion where after prohibition where they re-legalized it just for a minute because the war needed rope. They needed everything, so re-legalized just for so that the farmers could crop out, and then back to illegal. It was very strange. Like, and that's where the stigma came right back. And it's like, oh, it's completely vilified, and then you start seeing like the assassins of youth and all the crazy like 1940s, 50s stigma films on
All
cannabis.
the propaganda
Oh,
against it.
I actually love those. I think they're hilarious. Like the one where Buddy's like physically insane because he smoked a joint. Like I think they're funny, but that propaganda that weed is so bad. Like, even though the government basically said at that point, well, no, that's exactly what we need. So we need to re-legalize it just for us, and then switch it back, and then anybody else who's still growing it, well, it sucks to be you.
So what is that process? You mentioned it a little bit. Your ACMP,
ACMPR. So that's pretty much for your personal medical license.
because a normal person can grow what, 4 plants per adult?
So legally per household, I think it's four. Now it's changed again, I believe, because it used to be four per household, and now I think it's four per adult in the household. Don't quote me on that, but with an ACMPR license, this is from a doctor. So this is a script from a doctor. So you get a portion of how many grams you're allowed to smoke a day, which in turn they do the math on how many plants that's allowed, and I can apply for different ones. Now a lot of the licensing this year has changed because I I think they just think that we're growing too much. I have no idea. So a lot of people I know didn't get their licenses or got their licenses sent back, and you have to go to a different license or do things now. So my ACMPR license, like I think my first time applying for it, I got 9 grams a day or something, which ended up being like 110 plants outside or something. Now I didn't have the room to do any of that or whatever, but I was legal to grow. I was legal to do any of that, and I've always been the guy that was never. I just did it whatever, willy nilly. But being licensed helps. It helps for a guy like me, especially someone who wants to test and play around with different strains and whatever. I can have those plants in my possession in my house and it not be illegal. But as of right now, I mean, we got our 8. We have our 8 in the house. I just like I said, we just moved, so I just set up a tent. I got my 8, and I'm sending in for my brand new ACMPR, because it, like, every time you, I believe, now this is my understanding, but I believe, like, every time you move or something, say my ACMPR was to my old address, it's no longer valid. I can't use that same ACMPR at this house. I can't use that same license. Even though it's licensed to me, it's at a different property. So if the government was to say, come check it out, then it would technically be illegal. So
It's weird that it's by gram too,
it's so weird.
especially with different interbreeding and like the different percentage of how much THC or
Uh-huh.
CBD. It seems kind of frivolous to be like, oh, 9 gram. Well, 9 grams of a 25% versus a 10%.
And do you know what? 9 grams of 10% for me is 10 times better than 9 gram of 20%. Like, to me, THC doesn't, like, the percentage for me has no importance at all. That's another thing that's been kind of thrown in our faces. Like, this is the most important part. If you want the highest percent, if you want to get the high, that's not true at all. Like I said, the terpenes and everything, they bring that effect more so than the actual percentage. And I mean, per batch. So say batch is one plant. You take one bud off that plant and you test it. And that top bud could be fucking 25-30%. But then you test a bud on another branch down lower, that bud could be 12 or 20. Like, so again, it's totally up in the air, totally depends on the bud, totally depends on whatever you put into it. And again, none of that makes any difference to me as long as I'm not smoking hay. Like, it doesn't taste, and like, I want it to taste good. I want it to smoke good. I don't want to be like sitting there with a bad taste in my mouth. I want it to taste really nice.
One of the things that I've noticed with regards to people who grow cannabis specifically is that they really know how to grow in general. Like
Yes.
really know how to grow food and vegetables and everything. So let's take a quick break, and then when we come back we'll talk about how to actually grow medicinals,
Yeah.
cannabis, and just grow really well.
Yeah, for sure.
You got this far in the episode, so you should consider joining our Patreon. You can join either as a free or a paid subscriber. I prefer paid, of course, but over there you can interact with other members of the community. It's better than your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube. You don't have to be beholden to the algorithm. You can get emails when we send out these episodes. We can give you updates. You can ask questions that I would ask of my guests here. Go to patreon.com/homegrown show, where you can interact a little easier. We can have conversations. You can suggest guests that should be on the next episode, because I want you to have a say. And otherwise, I don't get paid for doing this. If you want to support me, go to patreon.com/homegrown show. You can support us directly right there. It's a cheap option to be able to support. If you enjoy these episodes, do it. Support it. Or at least just join as a free member so you can support us by continuing to listen to or watch these episodes. Back to the show. I'd love to get into medicinal strains of stuff, because, and not just cannabis, like get into, because when I was first introduced to medicinals, would have been as a kid, like everybody, I think if you grew up in the 90s or 2000s, your mom was obsessed with like echinacea.
Everybody was. Yeah.
So we got dosed anytime we get sick. Mom's like on it. Echinacea, your essential oils,
Uh-huh.
and from there was really where my curiosity started into medicinals and different.
I love when I finally took the understanding that, like, Eastern and Western medicine were totally the same, but like one was just kind of derived from the other. They just kind of created something from the natural aspect of it. And I'm like, oh. And then I started realizing that pretty much all the natural stuff that I was taking unnaturally was just around me. Like, it was pretty insane. Like, when I found out aspirin came from willow tree bark, I was blown away. Like, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Willows are my favorite tree. And I was like, what? And I started learning more and more and more. And I mean, now that I know more about natural medicines and like spiritual medicines, like DMT and all that stuff, like in ayahuasca is created with, well, DMT is created with Mimosa hostilis root bark. Like, you can buy that online. But, um,
There was a guy we visited for our farm tour last year that grew ayahuasca. I was like, man, these are things that you think about, but when you think about it, you're like, oh no, that's illegal. That's a bad thing to grow or to do.
so ayahuasca is actually only one part of ayahuasca. There's two parts to ayahuasca, and it's two totally different plants. And they, now, spiritually or historically, they told the Native American, like the plant spirits came to them and told them that once you combine these together, then you'll be able to.
It opens your mind.
It opens your mind to God or creator or whatever. So, like, other than that, there's no physical written down formula or anything. Like, these Native Americans were taught this by the plant spirits, and this is what came out of it. Same with Wachuma. Same with a lot of these other ones that are like cacti, made from cacti. Very interesting. Like, otherwise, who's to know? The toad venom one, that one's the one that really gets me.
Licking a toad.
No, not even licking a toad. Like, that was totally a thing from The Simpsons. Most people didn't lick the toads. But one of my favorite frogs, the Bufo alvarius, the Colorado River toad, has these glands right here, and you excrete the whatever that comes out of them, and that's physical DMT, like the most potent 5-MeO DMT you got, and I've done it, and it's nuts. But straight from the toad, and I read the book from the guy who did the whole thing, created the process, or what. He just thought, well, we're gonna see what happens. Like that's a scary, out in the desert, just found a fucking toad, figured he was gonna try it. An old hippie.
That is my greatest appreciation for just medicine in general. I think a lot of modern medicine has been whitewashed with rules and regulations, but if you look at psychology or history, a lot of our discoveries came from like some really crazy stuff that people did.
Just some random guy, like, you know what, I'm gonna try this.
It's like penicillin. The penicillin was discovered because he was a horrible lab technician and just kept a messy desk, and then came back after a vacation or a weekend and was like, what's growing there? What is that? And then synthesized it down, and there we have antibiotics.
Yep.
Like crazy.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's the world literally telling us, like, we're here. This is what's here. Utilize what's here. But again, we'll create it Have you heard of the synthetic cannabis now? That they're prescribing like
What?
Oh, it's a pill. It's a synthetic cannabis pill. Man-made cannabis pill. And first of all, it's almost impossible to get your hands on. It's super hard. Anybody that has it says it's absolutely horrible. It completely does not help at all. If anything, makes it worse. The effects of it are not like cannabis at all.
Makes what worse?
It makes whatever they're trying to heal, or like it just makes them feel bad. They prescribed it. They started. I forget what it's called, but they started prescribing it like locally. I know some people that have been taking it, and they're like, this is why I come here. Wow. Like to the shop, they're like, this is why I come here. This is nuts. Like I cannot. They prescribe me this whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me. And you just hear it, and it's like, first of all, like, we finish one prescription, and then you can't get another one, and this and that. Like, I don't even know why they bother at that point. Like, just do a cannabis.
Yeah.
Like, there's hemp oil pills in Walmart. Go get them. Because that's what you're getting. Actually, you're probably getting a shittier version of that. But that's another thing that I have to explain too. There's totally different realms of cannabis oils. There's hemp oils. There's hemp CBD oils. There's full spectrum CBD oils. There's pure CBD oils. Pure CBD oil is actually extracted from an already extracted form of CBD. So it's extracted from iso. So like the CBD isolate, that's what pure CBD tincture would be extracted from. Which is totally strange for me. But like that's almost unnatural for me. I don't go towards the pure at all because like yeah, the ISO is cool, but like I'd rather get a full spectrum, so I'm getting more than just CBD. I'm getting CBD, CBN, CBG, all the above and more.
That's what I like about science in general is that it's not settled in any way. It is we're constantly discovering. That's something I learned in university, especially with regards to biology, is that we are constantly discovering how different things work
Yep.
and work together. Like the recent announcement with regards to Tylenol and how it interacts with and causes autism, right? There's a lot of misinformation around that, but mechanistically, what happens is very specific. And
There,
that's the same thing with regards to like cannabis and other things. If you are isolating something down to one thing, okay, you can't just say THC does X. Like, okay, well, it's THC combined with CBD combined because it's this natural
see,
thing.
I find straight THC, I don't necessarily get an effect, like at all. It's there. I can kind of tell it's there, but I'm not really getting an effect. You add even 2% CBD to that, I feel it. I can feel the effect, and I'm feeling good. Like I like a 1-to-1 ratio of CBD THC. So like say there's or even a 2-to-1 or whatever. I enjoy the ratio between CBD and THC because I find that with THC I get anxious. And that's a thing that I cannot get away from. It always makes me anxious. Sometimes it's a good anxious, sometimes it's a bad anxious. But nevertheless, I get anxious. So with that added CBD content, it's gone. Don't even get anxious at all. Don't even think about it. It's like it just snaps it away from me. Just that added content. But rather,
Our biology is so complex too. So it's one thing to do it in like a test tube and be like, okay, this does this.
yeah,
But then doing it in an animal is one thing, but then doing it in a human, that's why again, liking those old studies and the way they used to do
yeah.
things is like, hey, let's overdose this guy on this stuff. That's perceivably what the U.S. Army did with a lot of their enlisted. Is they're
Oh,
just like, hey, we're going to give you a lot of meth and see how well you do.
pretty much. That's how Hitler ran. Like pretty much. I heard about the speedball combinations that they would take, and one of them the
Stay up for days.
submarine guys never came back. Just gone. The submarine's gone. They never came back.
Well, that was so I used to smoke a little bit. My first experience was in university. I was one
Yep.
of those that I didn't smoke or didn't take cannabis until
Yep.
university. A buddy had a joint and was like, "Oh, let's go for a walk and smoke." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." I was always pretty straight laced and green, and so tried it. It didn't really do anything for
Yep.
me. I turned into a bobblehead all night. But then after that, I smoked a little bit and just got curious more and more with regards to the medicinal benefits of it. And it
Yep.
was 2 years ago. I got some RSO and mixed it into honey. And I was like, you know what? I know what edibles do to me because I had them in the past
Yep.
and whatever. So I was like, I'm going to take a spoonful, and I'm going to go mow the lawn. And I was catatonic for 3 days. I was gone. Like
Uh.
Nicole was so mad because we had a new baby, and
Yep.
I was just like, you know what? It's just gonna be easier to mow the lawn. It'll quiet my brain. And I
Oh,
went and
it
mowed the
quieted your
lawn.
brain, all right.
I went and mowed the lawn, and then I sat on the couch for 3 days. Like it was wild.
Rick Simpson oil, if not taken properly, is one of the most powerful medicines I've ever taken in my life. Like, whew. Now, most people take less than your pinky nail worth. I usually take a gram at a time. So that's minimum 1,000 milligrams. Boom. And I've had some hit me so hard, like you say, 3 days later, and I'm like, um,
and nobody wants that. Like you don't actively do that unless
no.
you're trying to escape, and that then goes into the addiction side of things, where okay, I want to escape my life.
That to me
There's
is an opiate, a pure opiate. That is the heavy, so heavy. It's a scary kind of high for me almost. And I've done countless amounts of THC. So I mean like 20,000 plus milligrams per day, and I was just kind of like whatever, and then you take that and just floors you, and it's like wow, okay, this is a true medicine. So I started learning to dose it properly, and if you want it to beat cancer, Like the actual dose that you need to take, I think, is like 60 grams per month or something, or per week or per month or something, that you need to physically, like, they come in syringes like this big, like you need to have that full thing ingested in a month for it to actually give you the effect to cure cancer.
That was my first introduction to it. Was not with regards to cancer, but with regards to its medicinal use. My grandfather was diagnosed with Parkinson's,
Okay, yeah.
and then went through. Ended up with Lewy body's dementia, and like he lost his mind,
Yeah.
and that was what would I've been like 17, 18 at the time, just starting to go to university, and I was like, I can get you some cannabis. I don't know how yet, but I know enough people
Yep.
on the res
Yep.
where I could figure this out. And we never ended up. I was really hopeful to like do a trial with him and see. And so that's why I become sort of more and more passionate about those, because I see the effect. People use it for fibro or for
Yep.
cancer, and so many people have these unexplained maladies that modern medicine is just like, you're fucked.
Uh-huh. And I mean, my, well, both sides of my family were very stigmatic towards it. Like my dad, he smoked it and whatever, but like his parents dead set against it. Like it was to the point where we couldn't even talk about it on the porch. And before I moved home one day, my dad's like, "You'll never guess who I got to take a brownie." I was like, "Who?" He says, "Nana." I was like, "What?" It blew my mind. Like they weren't open to this at all. And now they're using cannabis almost daily as a, both, they use it in oil, they use edibles, and every once in a while they'll take a puff or two. And I'm just like, that's fantastic. My mother's side of the family, not so much. They're very open to learning about it, not so much open to using it. My mom, I've tried her on different CBD oils and different things. She's got pretty bad fibromyalgia. And so I've tried different things. And again, in my mind, I want cannabis to be the heal all. I really do. It's not. And for my mom, it's not for her. It just doesn't work. I'd love for it to work. I'd love for it, but she won't even give it the chance for it to try. So,
My parents were the same way, where they were super, like, I grew up really ultra conservative Christian, like going to church every
yep,
Sunday, and it was something that was super stigmatized. And then I remember, I mean, we went out into the world,
yep,
my brother and sister and I, and started learning about it, and then we kind of brought it home. Like, my brother still smokes cigarettes and
yep,
stuff, so we've got that. And then I remember coming home after university and seeing that my dad had a little bottle of CBD and THC oil, and I was like, what are you doing? And he had been prescribed it for something, some
yep,
malady. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, wow, that's never something they would have done. And then a couple of years later, like my brother brought home a joint and they tried it in the hot tub. It was like, holy crap, like this is not the same people that I grew up with. And to be open to that was really cool. I don't think they smoke or
it,
really use it much anymore,
yep.
but it was cool to see them being open to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's on my bucket list to smoke a joint with my grandmother. I think that would be fucking awesome. Now, she personally, I mean, she hasn't smoked in years, like even cigarettes or anything, but she said someday, she would be open to trying it. And I said, I held her to it, and I said it's on my bucket list. Like I'd love to sit down and just have a puff with you. You don't even have to have more than one, just to say that I did, because again, I remember her stigmas and like so dead set against it, and now she's very open to learning about it because I've I've literally become that. That's who I am. So, I mean, they've taught me a lot, and I love teaching them. I love teaching them that what I'm doing is not just black market or just recreation, or like this is my life. This is what I've dedicated my whole life to. I mean, I went to school to become a horticulturalist, yes, but I focus on cannabis. I've always focused on cannabis or medicinal plants. Like in a weird in a weird spiritual psychedelic trip, I had any plant spirit that physically could be around me come to me and say that this is your purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to naturally heal those around you, and you can use us to help. Cannabis was right there, right there. I was speaking to her as if she was right here in front of my face. and that's just the one that stuck. Cannabis is the one that always sticks, and I don't know why. But
So you brought some.
I did.
Why don't you show some off? Because, like you mentioned, it is both an ornamental. So these would be the flowers more than the leaves or stems or anything.
Yes, so I actually have a few very ornamental ones. So this right here, this one is called Smurfland. We have a strain called Purple Smurf. But
So when you're looking at a flower, what are you looking at or looking for when it is either ready to harvest or...
now that's a kind of toss up. Some people look for fully amber trichomes with a jeweler's loop. Some people look for fully orange hairs. For me, I want to see the color of the actual, like the trichomes, to be cloudy and to almost be starting to turn in. I don't like it when it's fully amber. I mean, to me,
The trichomes are like the hairy bit. They kind of look snowy.
the trichomes are the thing that makes it look snowy. Yes, the crystally glistening things, but all it all depends on the grower. Again, this one right here, this is the purple version of our sovereignty. Oh, wow. Yeah, is that not the most? Just is beautiful. It's so ornamental, and I wish I had some purple Smurf. The purple Smurf was it's so purple as black. It's absolutely intense, and the aromas are just insane.
I was really surprised the first time I grew how aromatic it was.
Yeah.
Like it was very much like I opened a Earl Grey tea and was just smelling a tea.
This one's very aromatic, very towards like what we know as cannabis. So this is R2. This is an actual New Brunswick bred strain that it was bred back in like the 80s.
I know this is going to sound weird. It smells more green.
Yes, very much more green. It smells piney. It smells like like very what we know as the weed that most.
Now, is that terpenes, piney? Like, are there other bits in there that then come out in the genetics?
I find with this one, they're like limonene and pinene. So this one's very, very citrusy, earthy, with that pine tone. And I find that with the pine, it's a heavier sedative almost. So that pinene really comes through, and it really takes. I mean, go do the same thing with a pine tree. Smell, and it takes you back for a second, right?
That's another thing that in the spring I harvest my pine or spruce tips, evergreen tips, to be able to utilize. It's even in the tea that I made. This
one's, we called this Stranger Things. So I had a bunch of plants this year. I had probably 70 plants, and I only had some in the ground. And I was teaching at Praxis Permaculture Festival, and I had come home that first night or second night from the festival, and as soon as I'm pulling in the driveway, I just happened to notice that my porch is empty. And I was like, why is my porch, like, what? And it really confused me. Like, I jumped right out of the car, ran right over, and all my plants were gone. All of them. And buddy come over saying, like, it was the cops and this and that, and I was, like, really freaking out a little bit. Come and find out, him and another guy stole all of my plants. I got some back. I ended up getting some back. So this is one of them. I have no idea because all my labels were gone. The only one that was in there was this one. So it was this gangly looking, like it had crazy arms and it was spiky looking and just wild and grew these real funny looking buds, like real long, funky looking elongated buds. Anyway, my partner was looking at the plants one day, and she sends me a video, and she's like, "Look at this Stranger Things looking thing! Like, look at that!" So that's what we labeled it as, Stranger Things. It's just we got so much of it. from one plant, I got like 6 jars like that. Completely full. And one of these.
They smell so beautiful. Like when I was first introduced to it, was really that skunky. Like this is disgusting. You
Right?
go into a friend's house and it
Now-
like just stinks of skunky weed.
Now, to me, I mean, yes, I'm all about the flavor, but I'm also about the nostalgic. So when I find that skunk, cat piss, like really putrid, like when you open the bag and goes, "Ugh," like that's what I want. That's 100% what I'm looking for in cannabis. Those are the smells I'm looking. I don't like the fruity ones are nice and like the sweet ones smell really good and whatever, but I want it to smell like burnt tires, fucking just total putridness, because that to me is the best level high. This one's called Franco's Full Gas. Now this is a strain that I only had one plant of. I drove all the way to Richibucto to get a single clone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That it's crazy how different they all smell.
So this one is actually bred by greenhouse seeds. This I don't know if you've ever heard of the strain hunters. They're very very huge. There's one of their strains.
It's almost like a grape juice.
Right?
That's weird.
Yeah, it's so different. And then when you smoke it, pine. Like piney grape. It's very intense. Very intense. I smoked it last night and I was kind of set back. What is this one? Yeah, again, don't really know some of these. So this one says BD, so that means it was hanging by the back door. Now this one is intense. Very intense, very lemony or limonene, very citrus.
Very lemony. Wow.
Yeah, very. That one, again, smells absolutely fantastic. No idea what it is. No idea. And there's a few of them like that. Like this one right here, you're going to smell and be like, oh, like that doesn't smell anything like the others.
Yeah, that smells more earthy. Like
Yeah,
that's very...
that one's called Chewbacca breath.
Wow. That like the difference between the lemony
Uh-huh.
versus like that's night and day.
Right?
And they look nearly the same.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if it was trimmed up both along the same lines, throw them on a plate, you really wouldn't be able to tell unless you smell.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then this one, this is probably my saddest jar. Like I said, I got a lot, and a lot I didn't bring. But this is a plant that I kept because it was being thrown out by Guild Genetics, but it had this cool leaf. The leaf was a sawtooth serration. Like, I mean, it looked like a saw. It was nuts, and I fell in love with the leaf. I was like, oh my god, I don't even care if it's a good plant. I'm gonna instantly. It all went to just tops, which was very weird. It was all just tops, but kind of gangly. Now this one is very sweet lemon, earthy. Yeah.
It's like a cross between those other two.
Yeah, right? Yeah, this one, I've smoked this. I've grown this a couple times now, but I wish I would have been able to take a cut of it before the end of the season, because like again, I like that trait. I wasn't even looking for the bud at that point. I like that trait, that cool leaf structure trait. It was something that I'd never seen in this strain before. And like we were doing tests of all of our strains again, and then so this one, and then I had another one, and it had one branch. It was variegated, like the bud was variegated. The leaf. It was so interesting. So I was kind of focusing on some different aspects, not really caring what the buds looked like or anything like that. Again, I grow so much, and I grow year round, and I grow so that my family has smoke and medicine, and like my old man, because they trimmed most of this for me. But my old man looked at me. He's like, "Why do you do it? Like, why do you grow so much?" And I was like, "So that you have smoke, and Brett has smoke, and everybody has smoke that they need, and And I can feel good as if to say, like, I did that for you. Like, I made it so that you didn't have to spend your money on it. You know that you're getting quality. So it's just, to me, that's my way of giving back a little bit. And my favorite thing, like, I know you don't smoke, you're still gonna get some. Like, straight up, you're still gonna get. I love growing weed and saying, here, try this. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think I should do different. Like, I learn from everybody, right? And I've been growing for 20 years, but I mean, I learn.
Let's talk about growing
Yeah.
because, like I said before the break, the guys who have been obsessed with growing weed, growing cannabis since they were like a kid, a teenager, get really, really good at horticulture, really good at being able to grow things. Where
Yep.
people, and I try to encourage people just to get into gardening, like throw seeds in the ground, hope that it grows, and then learn from there.
I've always said, anybody can grow good, or anybody can grow weed. Anybody. Throw a seed in the ground. Don't even have to do anything other than water it. Anybody can grow weed. It takes somebody who likes weed to grow good weed.
So, what are some of those secrets then to growing big, growing
Like,
well?
we grow living soil organic, so it's all organic soil, organic plant matter that goes into it. We use our own compost, and like the only additive really that we put into it is Gaia Green 444. Other than that,
Not a liquid fertilizer.
no, it's a powder fert. It's lime, feather meal, blood meal, I think, something. But um, I've always kind of, this sounds weird, but I've listened to the plant. So I've never been one for ratios or measurements or anything like that. I listen to the plant. The plant tells me what it wants. If I give it too much, well, it'll tell me I gave it too much. But the plant always just kind of tells me what it wants. So I kind of guesstimate. I do my own thing, how I feel. Same with watering, and my watering is always just A1. Every plant is different. It doesn't take the same amount of water. Every plant is totally different. And so, I mean, I've learned tips and tricks from the old guys that I grew up with. I mean, like using molasses and things like that. I love using molasses in my plants. You're just feeding the microbes in the soil. You're not even feeding the plant, you're feeding the soil, which in general feeds the plant. But I mean, good soil is your main thing. You want a good living soil. You don't have to have a living soil, but that's how I personally grow a good living soil, inside and outside.
Do you notice there's a difference between stuff grown hydroponically versus grown in actual soil?
Hydroponics look unnatural to me in any aspect. Vegetables, cannabis. I remember back in the day selling weed or whatever. You got any hydro? Because if you had hydro, it was way better than if you had outdoor. And at first, I didn't understand. I was like, "What the hell is hydro?" And like, I just once I figured it out, I was like, "Okay, well, hydro gives you this rock nug, like a nice tight bud, whatever. Outdoor is kind of a looser bud or whatever, but usually super greasy, like resin content, like crazy." So I mean, there's benefits to growing either way. I personally am not a hydro guy. I find it takes way too long. I had a plant growing for 6 months. The root ball was like this. The plant was like this. It was like, I just don't understand it, and it wasn't really my favorite thing. Like I say, I like to listen to the plant. When I'm watering, like I say, I will literally watch the plant drink, and once I can tell that it's slowing down on its drinking or whatever, or it's starting to spit out, because they'll spit out. If it's starting to do that, okay, I'll move on to the next, and then sometimes you move on to the next one, that one's fucking thirsty again. It's still ready to drink more. So, I mean, for me, I was always told to like just kind of every plant could be the same, but they're not. They're not the same. Unless they're clones, they're not the same. And again, to me, that's still a weird thing because I've grown the same clone as other people, totally different. Look totally different, grown totally different, smoke totally different, but they're supposed to be from the same mother, same plant, same whatever. So or take every plant and see it as its own. See it like it's just like people. Every person is going to affect something differently or whatever. Same with genetics are all the same all across the board. Seeds all the way to humans. We are all people. So in a pack of 5 seeds, there's 5 separate phenos in there. Not 5 of the exact same strain, but with, like I said, everything's kind of a polyhybrid nowadays. So you could actually find one that is more sativa leaning. You could find one that's more indica leaning. You could find one that's 50-50 direct. And I've physically seen it where it's 50-50 direct, where one half of the plant looks totally different than the other. It is just a weird splice thing. But growing aspect wise, I mean, look for plants that are going to do well in your area. That's the biggest thing. So like if you're growing outdoors, look at the weather, look at the growth cycle. Like I have plants that personally I love. I'm a sativa kind of guy, so I have these certain sativas. I grew one in a tent. It took 75 days just in flower. Just in flower. It grew up over the light and everything else, and it like I grew that plant for half a year inside under like controlled lighting. If I let that grow outside, I mean, who knows? It would have taken forever. And some of these sativas or landrace strains, they don't finish like ours. They continue. So it almost looks like it's going to go into a re-veg state and then just continue to grow after that. And I've seen that happen. But some of them just continue to go and go and go and go, and it's just up to you to choose when they are. So like with gilded genetics, we breed strains that are kind of for our area, fast flowering. So we usually bring an auto into the mix, but we have some autos. Some are regular photoperiod plants, and then some are fast versions. So we have one like Big Goals Fast, for example. It's a strain that we really liked from somebody else. We selfed it and we made it faster. So now that strain can finish in our climate. Like I have a strain, or we have a strain called Sovereignty, and for the most part it's a sativa strain, but we had a 3-pound sativa plant. One plant, 3 pounds, and it finished first week of October.
That's early.
That is nuts. Like you don't see that. Again, most people, they grow the sativas here and it's like, I don't even know if it's gonna finish. Like it's scary. You get to that point where, and a lot of people just haul them early, or I've been there. I've hauled them early, and you don't want to. You don't get the best production after, and it kind of sucks. But
Is it similar to vegetables in that if you wait until like it's really cold, you'll get a nicer, like with carrots, they'll get sweeter.
if so, I find again things from the older guys that I grew up. But if they make it to the first frost, that first cold night, everything goes denser. Everything starts to hit its point where all the crystals want to come out, juices up a little bit more. There's tips and tricks to that too, like adding ice to your bucket or onto the ground where your hole's dug. So adding that cold will make your bud tighten up, will make your bud go maybe darker or purple. So yeah, there's a little bit of an aspect towards that, like.
That's a physiological reaction from the plant where it's like, it's cold, we're gonna.
Yeah, we're gonna tighten up. It's finishing up now. But in all reality, like, they could go another month, right? It all depends on what you want, and it's a trial and error basis type thing. But
Are they very frost or cold tolerant, or are they different genetics depend on?
again, totally different genetics. With Gilded Genetics, who I work with, we focus on ones that are kind of tolerant. So like I have pictures on my phone I can show you right now of plants that were completely frosted over, looks like snow on top of them this year. Shook them off, let them thaw out through the day. Fine. Yep. And they went through 4 frosts. 4 frosts before I cut them. And I only had a little bit of rot in it. And sometimes I like to push it. Sometimes I just want to see how far the plant can go. So, yeah, mix it through 1 frost. Fuck it, let's try another one. Mix it through the next one. Yeah, let's see. It's still going good. And I've also had the point where it's like, yeah, it's looking there. It's looking there. I'm gonna leave it till tomorrow. Tomorrow's dead. Like, it's a weird gray area. You're never gonna know exactly, but yeah, I've walked out one day and it was perfectly fine. The next day, dead. So it's a total different genetics thing. Again, sativas don't have a huge frost tolerance because mostly sativas are grown in a tropical style climate. Afghanis, anything that's grown in like desert style climates, well, they get fucking cold and they get cold hard. So like they do great here. They do fantastic because we get that early frost. We have this actually our growth season has changed so much in the last 10 years. It's just like it's unreal. We're 1 year we get a beautiful crop, the next year we can't do anything. Like this year was even still a little strange, like rain, 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 and then
2 months of nothing.
2 months of no rain and hot. Like
And now we're getting drenched. The last like 2 weeks has been nonstop rain.
well, last night was pretty crazy. But I'm sitting there looking at that like our whole ecosystem is changing that way. So again, this is where our breeding style is actually helping because with our kind of unknown growth cycle, we can't do the same strains that we've been doing. We're trying to make them faster or make them last longer with a higher tolerance or whatever. So I mean, like I said, our growth timeline has just totally changed in the last 10 years. And we're going to see soon that even our normal rotational farm crops or agriculture crops are not going to be allowed or able to grow here anymore. But there's also a possibility that's opening up new plant flora and fauna that are coming around.
That's what makes me really nervous for organizations that are trying to like copyright seed, or farmers can't save their seed, or because things are changing and quickly, regulations and such can't keep up with it to be able to say like, okay, you can keep your seed this year because last year was such a drought. We need to be able to
Yeah.
like when it comes to food, when it comes to medicine, we need to like we got to move fast.
I totally am a believer of a seed bank.
Yeah.
I don't even just believe that we need one as humanity. I think every person should have a seed bank.
I have a video going up tomorrow about victory gardens, like back in the 40s when
Yep.
they talked about like you need to grow food, otherwise you aren't going to get rations, you're probably going to starve.
Yeah. Yeah,
So if
exactly.
you have a seed bank or you share with your friends, you're able to, okay,
Yeah.
you can grow carrots. You may not be like eating well, but at least you'll have something to eat.
Well, that's the whole barter system too. Like it turns into like well, I might not be the best like farmer, but I'm a really good grower. So I can grow all the food. You could raise all the beef. We could trade back and forth, do this and that. Like it's a system that has been cut in half over the year, cut in thirds even. Like it's horrible, man. It's really horrible, and I love seeing. Like I try to tell people the importance of like if you grew something, if you grew it, you personally save the seed. Like it's not that hard to dry a seed or to do the like you're gonna get seeds from every pepper, from every tomato, from every whatever you grow. If you like that tomato, you like that pepper, you like that cucumber, take the seed, go on Google, how do you dry the seed or how do you prepare the seed for this? Save it. I promise you next year you're gonna be thanking yourself because you're never gonna find the exact one that you liked anymore. Like
And those epigenetics are really cool too, where once you've got it growing here or in your soil, like I've noticed even
yep.
microclimates from friends who are like in Jacksonville versus
Yeah.
us here in Benton. Well, we can grow something or they can grow something really well. I bring it here, it doesn't do well. But the next couple of years, if you continue to keep the
Yep.
seed, it'll just grow because it's used to the pH of the soil.
Do you
or
know, do you know
used
what's
to,
also cool? So say that you were doing that with your friend. Take some of their soil, a little bit of their soil with it, and bring it, because of adding the environment that's already used to, that grows well in, adding that into its environment now.
I never would have thought about it. That. I don't know why it came to mind, but that similar to like a stool sample.
Yep.
Like when you're sick, you could get a stool sample to help fix your
Yes.
gut flora and
Yep.
everything. Wow, that's a really smart.
Yeah. So when we talk about like living soil organic, well, a lot of the soil that is on the land, like we tend to bring that soil into our mixes as well, because everything is growing in it already. Everything is doing beautiful in it already. So we add that environment into this to create that environment again. The microbes work together, everything works together, and it becomes a beautiful little piece of art. Soil science is insane. Insane. I'm starting to learn a lot about permaculture and organics and things like that, and it's next level. It's next level.
It's weird how we've gotten into more of a bubble now, where we want everything sterile and like clean, and we don't realize how important it is for us to work more. We we work with the microbes and the
Yeah. Yeah,
fungi and
exactly.
the environment.
Exactly. Like pesticide, fungicides, all that stuff. Like I understand where it was coming from, the agricultural business. Like, well, we need to get rid of this and we need to get rid of this. I also have this weird thought in the back of my head, like, what if we didn't? Like, that's a natural thing that's happening. Go outside, for example, in the summertime. How many aphids are on the clover or whatever, right? It's all a natural thing. They weren't brought here by anything else. It was a natural thing. What if you just let the plant do its natural thing? Like, the environment's created for outdoors. I don't care if there's a bug on it at all, really. Outdoors is gonna do its thing. It's not gonna get touched by nature. Indoors, I mean, if it's indoors and it's starting to give you spider mites and this and that, like, get rid of it. But if it's outdoors and you see stuff like that, like, I've seen people cut weed down because they saw a spider web on it or whatever, and it was a normal spider web, not a spider mite. And like, it just blows my mind. Like, even if it was a spider mite, like, they're doing their natural thing, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily good for the plant, but maybe look at it in a different way. Like, okay, well, it's doing its natural thing. Maybe we can work out a deal, or maybe we can see it in a different way. Maybe I can meditate on it, or go on a psychedelic journey and try to channel the spirit or something, and say, like, listen, like, this isn't something that I need in this crop, and I don't want to harm you or whatever. Like, I understand you're just doing your thing. It could totally just be as simple as changing your perspective on it, because I'm all about all this stuff. I think it's fantastic and I think it's cool. You got to learn about it anyways, whether it's good or bad. So why not? Like, there's 42 different kinds of fucking aphids. Like, and not one of them is like one. When I was looking through, I was like, I've seen four different kinds of aphids on this plant. Like, to me, it's a thing. And then you realize that they have relationships with other pests and other things. So, like, I always said, if you see ants go in your grow house, you have aphids. Because ants will literally pick up an aphid and walk it to another plant and put it on the plant. It's super weird, but I've physically seen it in a
All part of
grow.
that
Yeah,
ecosystem.
it's part of an ecosystem. But again, outdoor ecosystem and indoor, like, you can create an indoor ecosystem and like be as natural as possible, but still man-made, man-controlled, whatever. Outdoors, you can't control it. You can't. Mother Nature is the controller. That's what's happening, and the ecosystem around it that's been there a lot longer than you have is still going to do its thing. It's continuously going to do its thing. And if you're there, well, it's probably just going to try to do its thing around you or on top of you. It doesn't. It's, what do they call it? Terroir or whatever. Like, cannabis is one of those plants that will literally just take hold of its surrounding. It grows well in its surrounding. It grows well. It combines with other plants well. Um, Companion plants are a thing that I've literally learned about as watching them in the wild. Not even just like I know some companion plants just being a horticulturalist, like calendulas and things like that for pest control, or like mint or whatever for cats and like keep them away from your whatever. But like we grow a false chamomile with our cannabis, and like I've never seen chamomile grow 10 feet tall, but we have chamomile growing 10 feet tall in with our cannabis. Like it's insane. Cannabis companions well with a lot of different plants and a lot of different medicinal plants too. So it's really fascinating seeing it take its surroundings, and like I said, you take a little bit of soil from its home environment and bring it to a new environment, it's going to be able to adapt a lot better, just because of this biological exchange that it's doing. We also did a thing with biochar, and we made biochar from, say, the mother plant of the seed that we just planted. And there's a weird familiarity biological response that can happen with that, and allow it to almost speak to each other and being like, okay, well, this is like your mother speaking to you and helping them create. It's super interesting.
It's
And
stuff like that that makes me more curious about the spiritual aspects
yeah,
of growing and just life in general, because yeah, that you would think when you look at it or think about it, just oh, it's just carbon, it's
yep,
biochar, you're putting it on, it's going to grow better, sure, but for it to be the mother plants to
right,
grow.
and it's a weird thing. Like in one part of your brain, you're like, that doesn't work, and in another part of your brain, well, technically that works in all genetics. Like if it was my mother, and whatever, like it works in all ways like that. It's like hereditary, right? That's what it's called. It's hereditary. So different things are coming from, and they're learning from the parent. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just a fluke. I don't know if it's just a thing, but it works. It works, and it's very interesting to see it, and to bring these different things in, and whether it's all just a fluke or not, I enjoy the aspect of bringing like its history back into itself. Like cannabis is a regenerative plant. Cannabis you can feed cannabis whatever it doesn't want, it will drop on the ground so it can use later. Like it's a very regenerative plant, and it'll succumb to pretty much anything that you give it. So again, if it's the proper genetics. Like I find Landers genetics are a lot stronger than all these polyhybrids now, because most strains are bred for indoor tents or indoor growing. Just nowadays, that's how it's all gone. But
So if somebody was to get into whether medicinal growing or growing just cannabis in general, how would you recommend they start?
start with now. Most people in my realm will be like, go for a clone. It's easy. To me, unless you know exactly. Now, I'm a plant guy and I'm weird like this, but unless you know exactly where that clone's being cut from or whatever, I don't recommend a clone.
Now, what do you mean, for somebody who doesn't know, what do you mean by a clone? Is that just like somebody took a house plant and took a cutting off it, put it in dirt?
Yes, technically. So it would be their mother's plant, one that they've chosen or just have that is ready to big enough to be cut, and they cut branches off and put them in either rock wool or soil or whatever until they root, and that is supposed to be a physical genetic copy of that plant. Whether it is or not, again, it's totally dependent on the growing cycle and things that you're doing to it. But to me, again, doing it from seed, first of all, going to give you a stronger plant. So I recommend starting with finding a strain that you want to grow, whether it be indoor or outdoor. Do your proper research. Start with the seed. Grow the seed. Now there's different ways to germinate. I've changed my germination ways 14,000 times. To me, the best success I've ever gotten, throw it in a cup of water and leave it. So again, put your seed in the water, you germinate it. Once you see that tap root start to come out of the seed, get your soil ready in your cup or whatever and put it in. You can even leave it by the window and just water it. As long as it's getting some sunlight and water. Again, anybody can grow weed. Not everybody can grow good weed, but anybody can grow weed. And if you get that first plant and you're successful at it, it could be one bud this big. It's something that you just did, and whether or not you took interest in it right then, you might after. You might after. It's this fact that you got it started and you actually took the initiative to start something. And so I don't recommend overwhelming yourself. I've done that 1,001 times, and I did that just the other day. Like I said, I have my 8 plants, but I also started 6 strains and probably 5 of each of those. So
Any strains you'd recommend that are forgiving for a beginner?
Again,
And by that I mean widely available, but also easy to grow and very forgiving for our climate
Yep.
specifically.
yep,
Because I'm thinking somebody that would normally go to like Scott's Nursery and
Yeah.
buy a plant.
Well-
If somebody's looking to grow for the first time.
if they're looking to grow for the first time, I mean, again, in our climate, it's a kind of shittier, colder climate. So look for something kind of indica leaning, something like maybe Afghani or northern crossed, because those ones grow well here. Same with Durban or anything like that. But I mean, it's more doing your research on the area first. If you can do your research on the area, if the strain information is available, you can figure out kind of what's going to work. Another opinion, ask the old guys that you know that grow. Like, one of the first crops I ever did, I didn't even know what it was. Buddy just gave me seeds, but he's been growing the same seeds for 25 years. And it grew fantastic. I think I have one. I have one single vial left of the seeds, but I had a bag full like this. It's called Hazy Lemon. That's what I called it anyways. All these old fellers were smoking it, and it smells like lemon pledge, like hardcore lemon pledge. It grows fantastic, but the same, like the guys were growing it for fucking 20 years plus. Go to the old guys. Obviously, they've been growing the same strain for a reason. It's because it grows well here, right? So, I mean, in my opinion, if you want a strain that grows well, like in our climate here, Afghani, Northern Lights, R2, something bred for here. Portal Nugs from Gilded Genetics. But also try to stay away from the ones with the crazy long name. That is a polyhybrid bred for indoor. So I promise you, something with a fruity-tastic name or whatever is mostly a polyhybrid bred for indoor. But a lot of these strains that we do with Gilded, I come up with the names and it's just a random plethora of words. But those ones that, like, you see, like banana cake and banana runts and purple runts cake and all those ones with like a bunch of word. That one is most likely going to be a super pretty plant, but not going to grow well outdoors. Not going to grow well in our climate. Not going to, like, as much as you want it to, it's most likely not. Look for the ones that are kind of like between 60 and 80 days flowering cycle or whatever. Like, look for the ones that do well in a colder or wetter climate. Not, like, we don't really have drought, unless it was the 2 weeks this year, but other than that, like, we don't really have that. It's very wet, very kind of shitty.
Other than that, then certain strains that grow well here, are there certain strains that are better for CBD content versus THC content?
For sure. And I mean, now, historically, Charlotte's Web would be your CBD strain. That was the one that was bred for Charlotte, who had cancer or whatever. So Charlotte's Web was the main one. But there's also like a friend of mine, Kevin Jodry. He helped out with like the ACDC, and there's different CBD strains now that like even we're creating. Like I said, we have the CBD Con Louis that's a 4-year hemp cross, so we actually have real CBD, not just a CBD strain that is possibly going to add a couple percent or whatever. Like we actually have been trying to breed the actual percentage of CBD in it. So CBD strain wise, I mean, yeah, there's quite a bit, especially with the new genetics coming out, but not a lot of people are focusing on it. Again, because of our market, it's mostly recreational still, whether or not you want to believe it's still recreational. And most people, when you say I have CBD, they're like, "Why would you want that?" Like that's the first thing that comes out of it. Why would you want CBD? It's not going to get you high. Well, no, it's not going to get you high. Like that's not the point of CBD, but that's the point of smoking to them. Because when people see CBD, they want it in edibles, they want it in tincture or lotion. They don't. When they see a CBD pre-roll or whatever, like, what's the point? So, I don't know. The CBD strains, I love growing. I think they're great. I grow it for medicine. I grow it for personal use. I grow it for making tinctures and things like that. I would love to be one of the biggest CBD producers just because it's something different. Most people focus on THC, so why not focus on something different? Strain wise, though, not really off the top of my head can I think of like an actual CBD strain, like specific CBD
Yeah.
strain that's going to grow super well in our climate, besides the ones that I've been growing with Gilded. So, like CBD Con Louis, that is probably the best actual CBD strain. We also have CBD crosses like Hot Neighbor and like CBD Auto Grunts and a couple different other ones, or CBD Purple Polar CBD or something like that. We've got a bunch of different CBD crosses, but CBD Con Louis is probably the one that's gonna grow well here. Huge plant. I mean, like upwards of 15 feet tall. Like, and I've seen this thing fill this whole side of the room before. Like, it can be a very big, robust plant, and that's where the hemp comes from. So,
I think the biggest thing for people is to try to remove that stigma, because I think people are like, oh, CBD I can do, THC I don't want the psychoactive, I don't want. So being able to mentally remove that
yep.
stigma and then go into it open minded and say, okay, my goal isn't to get high, but there's going to be some THC content in
I
the
think
majority of
I think if you're
grows.
starting to grow, your goal should be to finish the plant, not your end production with it. Finish the plant. Grow it like a plant. Grow it exactly like you would a plant. Don't look at it as like, oh, I need to have like the best THC, the best CBD. I don't really want any of that. Like, look at, if you don't want to focus on any of that, look at it as a plant. Look at it as the physical plant and say, okay, I'm going to finish this and make it a beautiful plant, because then you'll have a beautiful product. In my opinion, anyway. Like like I say, if you're growing, that's already a step in the right direction. So
It's the same with anything. That's what I say about
yeah.
vegetables.
If you're growing, you're
Yeah.
already pointed in the right direction. You're already starting something. Like this year, I put weed plants in my mom's garden box without her knowing, and they started popping up. And she's like, "Zachary, what is this?" But then left them. She didn't care. They got stolen. Like dug right out of her garden
Wow.
box, stolen. But she was open to it. She was open to having them there just because she can. It's a plant. I was like, Mom, if you're not even gonna use it, just I mean, look at it as an ornamental. Grow it for me.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's super pretty, and like, she's a wino, so like she likes her wine, and I have a couple strains in with Gilded, like auto healing wine. So it's an auto flowering strain. It's a CBD one, and it has a cherry wine. It has the cherry wine cross into it, and it's like, oh, okay. okay, this is gonna be real good. Hey Ma, let's grow this one because it's gonna be fast. You don't like, so it's gonna be out of there before the end of summer, and it's like it's gonna be CBD too. So maybe I can take it and make you some tea or make you some tinctures or make you whatever to help you with your ailments. So you know that you grew it. Isn't that doesn't that feel good? You grew it. She felt the same way when I got her back into gardening. She started tomatoes and peppers and this and that. And then one day, looked like they were dying. Like, looked like she got all discouraged. Gave her a couple pointers. Within a week, she had everything in that garden box looking fantastic, better than my garden box. And I was like, look at you. Yeah. She's like, look, I got a pepper. I got tomatoes. I got all this. I was like, exactly. Exactly. It. I have a friend right now. He popped 75 seeds and 8 popped. Got him super discouraged, doesn't even want to grow now. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go through my seeds. Does it all have to be this company? Because if it doesn't, I mean, I'll go through my seeds. We'll find you some new ones. We'll start you up again. We'll fill your room. No worries. That to me, like, I've also come to the conclusion, like, you can't physically save all of your seeds. You gotta share some. Like, especially if it's like a strain or something that you don't think will ever show up or be around again. So I was like, okay, well, I'll open my vault. Like, let's get you some stuff. If we think it's a keeper, we'll take a cut and we'll make a mother and we'll put her somewhere else. But we can keep those genetics without the seed. Let's clean this up. Let's do this whatever. So I picked like 6 different strains for him, and I'm gonna start them tonight and hopefully have plants for him in about 2 weeks.
How many strains do you think you have in seeds?
Um, I want to say over 20,000. Like, and like packaged wise, maybe like 1,000 physical packaged wise, but like ones from breeders that have never been tested, or ones that I've bred myself that I never tested, or seeds that I got from this or that or whatever. I have a whole box just full of bag seeds from other strains that I kept. It's very overwhelming going into my seed vault because it started off really good, and then like I've lost probably hundreds of thousands of seeds or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of seeds. Like I've spent a lot of money on genetics. I've saved a lot. There was an addiction for a while where I was in bid wars with people on seeds. I was buying every week. It was a very addicting thing. But I mean, I would say it's pushing about 20,000, man. Like I have a lot. It fills my whole bed, and then like I have a king size bed. It fills my whole bed. But again, I've lost more than I can even think about. I like actually every time I think about losing them, I can tell you exactly which ones I've lost. But I used to have them all wrote down and like a whole book to keep track, and I move so much. It's hard. So I'm a strain collector. When I first got into my influencing thing with the cannabis, like my name was the collector of the strains, and I collected like I mean, I tried every fucking strain I could, every single strain. I would go either get a gram or a quarter bag or whatever. I tried them all. I reviewed them all, and if it had a seed, I saved them all. There was a while where I kept a single gram of every strain that I tried, and I had one of those jumbo freezer bags, like this big, completely full of just single grams of different strains. Yeah, and again, every seed is a different strain, in my opinion. Like that's a different pheno, a different strain, different whatever. So I had 14 different kinds of northern, 13 different kinds of this, a whole bunch of different whatever. And I've had Blue Dream from 4 different people that not one of them is the same, not one of them. But that's the fun part for me. I'm like, as a collector, right? I don't even think I could talk. I don't even think I could think of like an actual number. But I know it's pushing upwards of 10, 15,000 of seeds.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I collect hemp seed too. I collect, like, I like to go and research what strains are legally allowed to be farmed in Canada, which ones are not legally allowed to be farmed in Canada, and why. And like I have Russian hemp seed. I have I have seed from I have Landra seed from India, like Shilavati. I have Landra seed from Thailand. I have one of the strains that I created called Red Green. Uh, is a Panama Red bag seed from like an old brickweed. I got it from an old guy. Straight up brickweed, fucking Panama Red, and it grew. It grew fantastic, and I bred it with a green crack. Just oh man, I could talk about seeds all day. I love genetics. I love seeing them. I'm a huge Landris genetic guy, like because that's kind of where our roots came from, right? So our Afghanis, our Thailand, like a lot of like Colombians and what. That's the reason they're called that is because it was pretty much what it looked like and where it came from. So Acapulco Gold is because it was a goldish yellow colored weed because that's how it dried, and it came from Acapulco. Same with Colombian. Panama Red, well, usually because it had a red stem, or it had like an orangey red hair, or whatever. That's why it was called Panama Red, and it came from Panama or Mexico. A lot of the Mexican sativa, very similar. There's some that was like the reason why people like the Afghani and created the Northern or whatever, because it was a plant this big. It wasn't this huge, crazy plant. It was a plant this big, and you can grow of them, and it not really like look like a lot, but you're getting a lot, and it's a lot of rock tops and whatever. But like the Landris strains is where our kind of roots came from, and I do the whole family tree of a lot of strains just to kind of see, and for the most part, they all kind of go back down to a Thai sativa or a Landris style indica from Afghani or Pakistan. But that's for the most part where a lot of it comes from. I really enjoy traveling the world that way to find the like. There's no actual Hawaiian strains, but there's a Hawaiian Landris because in Hawaii at that time there was a strain that I think it was like a Mexican or an Afghan that grew really well, but everybody was just growing it, so it became Hawaiian. It's probably not Hawaiian at all. It's just a pheno that grew really well in Hawaii. But yeah, man, the Landris genetics for me, they're the ones I hold dearest to my heart, or the ones that I've created myself. Those I hold dear to my heart. But I mean, cannabis is such an open product and open thing. So I mean, everybody can create. It's really easy. It's easy to play around too. Like I mean, my first cross was a mistake, just because I didn't call the mail first. Just saw it and I just yeah, fuck it. Next thing you know, I saw the flowers physically opening and I was like, okay, okay, so I'm gonna lose this whole greenhouse. And once I made that decision in my mind, oh man, we showered everything. Well, I went around with the whole plant, shook it on all of them, and brushed it on the buds and whatever. I had seeds from everything. I mean, I probably created 10 strains that day, or like in that realm. Red, green. I did an ayahuasca purple by Panama Red. I did Blue Dream by Crumpets by Panama Red. I did Peanut Butter Breath by Panama, like whole bunch. Half of them didn't work. Amsterdam Skunk by Panama Red, and I've only ever seen three of them. Like the red green, I've seen that. I've seen the ayahuasca purple. That one I called Purple Puta, and that's a beautiful plant. Beautiful plant. But I don't know, man. It's just super fun creating and seeing the genetics do their thing. I like to experiment. I like to push boundaries, and like cannabis is a very versatile, strong, chameleon-like plant. It will really kind of take hold of its surrounding and work with it. So, oh man, I could go on forever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been curious about the last little while, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, for
Because it's
sure, man.
been ever since I got my parents into it and been really curious about the medicinal benefits, and then the more people I talk to, that like I have a friend that lives out west now that the only thing that will help her fibro is cannabis.
Yep.
And she's like, I know it's super stigmatized, but like that's
Yep.
literally the only thing. I've been prescribed medicine from the doctor. It just nothing else works.
Yep. And when I hear that, I love that. I do. It could be a total placebo effect, actually, in reality. It could be. But the fact that they're attaching to it and they're saying, you know what, this is actually helping me. This is helping me more than what my doctor is helping me. That makes me so happy. That makes me so happy that you found a natural way to actually heal yourself or help yourself in a way that feels better than what you're getting from your doctor that's supposed to make you feel that way.
We're coming full circle too with regards to a lot of just agriculture and medicine, because I even had somebody I was talking about meat grown on a farm versus like in a
Yep.
feedlot and
Yep.
grown really quickly, and she has she's immunosuppressed and she has a histamine disorder, so if she eats meat from the grocery store, really sick, like has a
Yep.
huge reaction, like she could end up in the hospital. But if she has meat from a local farm that was grass fed,
Grass-fed.
like it's completely different. And I was like, wow, like that's a really cool thing to
It's
see.
a thing to like. It's a really cool thing to see, like conceptually in your head. Like, why? Why is it doing that? And it really makes you question what you're eating. It makes you question what you're doing. I have a friend. He comes into the shop, and he's starting a farm, and he asked me if I would be interested in purchasing meat or animals from him that consumed cannabis. And I said, absolutely, absolutely. It's one of these things that, first of all, is a market that's not really touched on. It's a huge benefit for animals. I mean, in Manitoba they do it a lot, but it's a huge benefit for animals. And
Usually ground as silage, isn't it? Like
yeah,
they grind it right up.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah.
What we talked about is partnering with like land. I'll grow the cannabis, and we'll take it and we'll cut it all for the consumption of his animals, and then we can sell that meat or split the meat or do whatever. But it's weird because in my industry, that's seen as a cannabis product now. That meat, you could go to a cannabis event or whatever and completely sell out because now you have cannabis fed meat. Has nothing to do with content in it at all, but it's a healthier, way better meat.
It's the opposite of the stigma where if you're open to feeding your animals cannabis, it's like, okay, you cared about this animal. This is going to be a high quality
It's like,
meat.
oh damn, it's like pushing it to Wagyu style. It's like, oh damn, okay, so you treated this with luxury, right? Like you took a plate to him every day.
Because that's a way that I've seen in the industry to, you take the flower and then you've got the whole plant. Like, what are you going to do with the plant? You compost it, you make biochar,
Yep.
or you can grind it up for silage and feed it to animals, which is a great way to utilize something
Chickens love weed, goats love weed, pigs love weed. I don't think I've seen a physical farm style animal not enjoy chewing on a cannabis leaf. Like, I mean, goats fucking love it. Chickens again. You want to see something funny? Put an untrimmed branch to the chickens. Just put it in there. Give them 10 minutes. You'll have a trimmed branch. It's hilarious. I've seen it firsthand, and it's like, wow, this is great. This is actually great. But it's not harming them at all. It's not really. Honestly, I don't even think it's getting them stoned.
No, especially if it's not decarbed. Like, it's just
like, it's literally just adding exactly what I was saying when I eat cannabis or what. It's adding those beneficial microbes, the beneficial fatty acids, the beneficial whatever to their diet and not harming them at all. So I think it's a cool thing to look into. I like even homesteading or whatever. I'm looking into it because I think it would be great to. I mean, that's another benefit that I can add. I'll grow it. I'll feed it to my animals, and I mean,
I'll have to try it next year because I do want to try to grow again
yeah, for
next
sure,
year, and
for
then it'll be
sure.
something that like we've got goats and pigs and chickens,
Yep.
so to see how they
And
do. And
again, weed, hemp. I don't necessarily know if it matters. I'd like to do a trial on both. Again, I'm one of those guys. I'll just throw hemp seed in my yard. I don't care. But you're gonna have a lot of mad neighbors who grow weed if you do that, or mad government realizing
yeah,
that you're growing their crop with
illegal plants.
technically, technically,
Yeah,
especially if you don't do your research on
yeah,
which ones you're allowed to legally process here, because like Candida 1 or something, and like there's like a handful that I can think of right off the top of my head that are legal hemp strains, and then more or less ones that aren't, and it's because they contain more than 0.01% THC. So it's
Now, does that make them illegal, or does that then subject them to the ACMPR slash your limit of four per?
I'm assuming when it says legality, it means like as a production crop.
Yeah.
So like you would not be able to physically do like, for example, Romanian. I have a Romanian hemp. You wouldn't be able to grow Romanian hemp as an actual rotational crop in Canada or in New Brunswick because
Wow.
it's not on their list of strains. That one you would probably have to go through a whole other licensing procedure and most likely go through your ACMPR because again the content of it is maybe 0.12 or 0.2, not even 0.2,
That's
0.02, like
so silly because it's similar to like guns, where it's like, oh, this gun looks scary. This plant has 0.1% of THC. It'll get you high, you
uh-huh,
hippie.
uh-huh.
Silly.
And that's exactly how they see it too. And nowadays I want to say that they're seeing it as like, oh, you're making money off something we can make money on now.
Yeah.
That's more what I see nowadays. But beforehand it was like, oh no, like you're getting high from that, you're bad. Like you're just straight up bad. I never understood it. I never understood that at all because our Western medicines and our alcoholism and everything is such like bred into our culture, like it's just a norm. And now like weed is still seen as something like it's just coming over the horizon.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we've been doing this since the 60s, even since before the 60s. But like it's not like it's a new thing. It's just that the government's now making money on it. That's what's new about it. Honestly, legalization took the fun away from it for me. Like the whole thing where I had to go and hide behind a bush or hide behind the school or whatever to smoke a joint. And not that I ever did, but that whole taboo
Yeah.
portion of it, like that was the fun part about it for me. Like growing in beside someone's field or like having a deal with someone possibly getting into your crop or whatever. Like when you're not supposed to be growing, like those were the fun days. Those I remember days having hundreds of plants out in the woods and just hoping nobody's gonna go fucking get them because it's scary. It's scary, right? But I remember when like legalization day. I can remember it to a T. Buddy of mine went and waited in line at the one cannabis store in Halifax at that point because I was in Nova Scotia. So it was one cannabis store in Halifax. The lineup was all the way around the building and out
Yeah.
and whatever. And I remember like he bought something for everybody who smoked in our class. I remember I wouldn't take it at first. I was like, nah, I'm not interested. I had a really kind of shitty introduction to the legal industry. I kind of like offered myself to a brand or a company Didn't ask for any money, didn't ask for anything. I kind of wanted to learn. I was going into horticulture and I was already growing weed for 10 plus. So I was like, I would love to like learn. You don't have to pay me. Like this could not even an apprenticeship. I just want to learn. I want to. Anyway, it kind of shot me down or real bad, and it put a bad taste in my mouth in the legal industry. And then I found out some more information about them, and it put even worse of a taste in my mouth. And I said, you know what? Fuck this. I don't like this industry. I don't like the legality of it. I didn't support for months. I did not go to the store. I wouldn't waste a cent. And anyone I knew going that realm, I kind of cut out. It evolved a little bit. I was still doing a lot of influencer work, like on the legacy market. So I was still getting black market products and seeing the legal market and friends of mine doing reviews on legal stuff and just seeing how kind of shitty it was. And then a friend of mine started doing the magazine, and then I started kind of opening up a little bit to the legal scene. Like I was starting to try stuff and starting to buy things, and I could see the legal scene a little bit on the medical side because I was prescribed, so I could see some of it coming through, but none of that was in the stores. All the stuff that was in the stores at that time was just crap. There's like 3 companies or something, and DNA Genetics. Nothing against DNA Genetics, but their products were dog shit. Same with like Pounds by Snoop and all that stuff. Like total dog shit products because nobody cared. And then I found out who was actually the actual one holding the company, and like, oh, that's why.
I
Like,
remember I worked in a lab at that time, and the lab was like the lab in Canada that would test all of the
yep,
cannabis. So they have to send it for like microbial and
yep,
everything, and they get the percentage of like all your terpenes and everything regulated, and it had to be within a certain framework.
yeah,
So
yeah. And if it wasn't within that framework, even at a higher like at a higher percentage, most of those would be a better product.
yeah,
But if it went over that, nah, sorry, we can't take it. If it went under that, nah, sorry, we can't take
yeah,
it. It's like I know so many people that worked probably 6+ years before they physically had a product on the shelf.
yeah.
Like,
All that hype was really early on, and then you had Canopy, you had
yeah,
Organogram, you had a lot of those like big players that
like that just Canopy and Organogram remind me of Big Smoke and Big Alcohol,
yeah,
Big
it's just
Pharma.
corporate America, right?
Yeah,
Like it's just big. We're gonna grow it to be able to sell it, oh, and yeah, it just became a business, right?
yeah.
And that's with anything. Like I speak about that with regards to agriculture, that it's the same thing. Once it's centralized and it becomes a business, it's not as good anymore. It's how to make it fast and how to make it
Agriculture's
sell.
become environmental genocide, man. It's literally sell, 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 sell. We want the fastest crop. We want the best whatever. We're gonna spray whatever we want on it to make it go faster. It's horrible. I don't like the word agriculture. When I'm a horticulturalist and I'm like more of a plant doctor, I will talk to the plant and I will tell you what's going on with it and whatever. An agriculturalist, like honestly, when I came back home from school and whatever, telling people what I was, they were like, "What? What is that?" I was like, "You don't know what horticulture is?" Like, no. I was like, "Aren't you a farmer?" And they're like, "Yeah, but what?" I was like, "Well, agriculture and horticulture kind of go hand in hand, but agriculture is the industrialized version
Yeah.
of it." Like,
What is horticulture then?
horticulture to me is um, plant doctoring almost. It's being able to tell you how a plant is, how a plant's looking, how a plant's supposed to look. How, like I can tell you the ailments going on with your plant, or what it possibly needs. Like,
What would be the difference between horticulture and agronomy then? Semantics?
yeah, pretty much. And I mean, like in horticulture, I learned about a lot. Like we did arboriculture, we did therapeutic horticulture, and it's more of a realm. Like I say, horticulture is plants. That's pretty much what horticulture is. You want to learn plants, horticulture is the way to go. That's pretty much your broad spectrum. But there's horticultural genetics. Like there's so much more that I could have gone into that I didn't because of proper schooling and whatnot. But like eventually I'd like to take the genetics portion of it too, to get into the science realm where I'm in those labs doing the splice work and looking into exactly how the seeds work and how the plants grow. That to me is fascinating. The nerd stuff, I love that. But right now I'm just a hippie outdoors doing the actual work and learning it that way. And like we got a microscope now, so I can look and see on the slides, and like I say, we're starting to learn more about permaculture and everything, and I'm gonna start taking courses on this, and so I'm learning about the microbes. I'm learning about what I'm seeing. I'm learning about all the soil science. Like the more I can learn about benefiting that plant naturally, without having to do anything unnatural, without spraying, without like, nobody wants to spray. Nobody wants to do any of that. But we want the best product possible. So how do we do that without having to literally hold that plant tight and never let go until it's fully done? We got to let it do its thing and learn from the plant. So like I say, I listen to the plants. I talk to the plants. The plants will respond back to me what they like and what they don't like. So I don't know. It's kind of hard because horticulture again is such a broad spectrum. Arboriculture focuses on trees. Horticulture focuses on plants. Agriculture focuses on farm plants, like crop plants. I like plants. I like plants in general. I like all plants, and that's why I went to horticulture. I don't like nobody goes to school to be a potato farmer. And I said that was one of my main things. If I go to school for 2+ years and come back home to become a potato farmer, I failed. I failed at what I was trying to do. And I'm not a potato farmer. I could have done that without spending money to go to school. Could have done that without anything at all. I could have been a potato farmer. I'm a horticulturalist. I can go to your potato farm and tell you what's wrong with your plants and tell you probably a natural way to fix it rather than go spray whatever. And like I'm not much of a guy that does any of that unnatural stuff, and I don't like to see it. Strawberry Hill Farms is a fantastic place that I enjoy because they don't spray anything. They grow very well. I get to they I physically see them working all the time doing exactly what I would love to do. So,
I gotta get Tim in here.
yeah, you do.
I
Yeah, you
interviewed him a
do.
couple of years ago, but I think we should sit down and have an extended talk because
Absolutely.
he is such a wealth of knowledge. I worked for him back in like 2012, and he's such a wealth of knowledge that he doesn't even know. Like he's
his
forgotten more
his
than I'll
videos
ever.
that he posts when he's just sitting there talking or whatever, talking like we are right now is fantastic. I watch it all the time, and I'm like, man, this guy, he knows a lot. He knows a lot,
Yeah.
and again, we're in this area now where like food sovereignty is a thing. Like we need to be focusing on food sovereignty and having an actual beneficial crop for everybody, not just you and me, everybody. And it needs to be shared, and we need to understand and learn from each other. It's really crazy. We're That's why we called one of our strains sovereignty, because we wanted to create a seed sovereignty. We gave, I don't know how many packs of sovereignty that we've given out, handed out just free to people. This is our seed sovereignty. We're giving this out so that people can grow quality medicine properly at home, not having to spend any money, not having to worry, just grow quality medicine. It's seed sovereignty. It's passion. It's a passion for sure.
Thank you for this. I appreciate it. It was a long time coming to
It
actually get
has
you in the
been
studio. For months we've been talking about this.
months, years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we've only been technically. I actually did. I look back. It's been like 4 years since we've been talking.
Really?
Yeah, we've been talking. The first time we mentioned it was like 3-4 years ago. So it's been a long time coming,
I'm
and
glad we finally did it.
I'm sure there's gonna be more than one. Yeah, because there's all kinds that we can talk about in this industry and many others as well.